Coach, you said you wanted to be the hardest working team in America, and leave no doubt just that. And you analyzed it. How did the guys perform in your mind? Was it a winning performance other than winning the game?
Right. I think after the game, we celebrated the champions, the guys who graded out. And, there were guys who did. And so those guys got to continue to enhance as the challenges get bigger. And then there were guys who weren't. And, when that happens, you got to identify what it was that, didn't allow you to become a champion. Why didn't you grade out? Was it, somewhere in your process, it's feedback on how your week went, whether it was the preparation, whether it was the meetings, the walkthrough, the practice, where you were in terms of understanding the game, being in the moment, not getting caught up in the moment. There's a lot of things to identify what it was. And now in week 2, the guys who didn't, have to make those adjustments and grow. The effort, across the board was solid. We got a long way to go here, and we want to keep pushing. And there certainly were some great clips. I think you guys saw some of that on Saturday, but we're nowhere where we need to be. We got to keep building. It's a long season, and so we'll get back to work today.
Far left, Joe Nugent, WCMH. Do you have a feel on if Cody or Donovan might be returning this week?
Yeah, they're day-to-day right now. We're going to see how today goes, but, had a good weekend, and we're going to list them as day-to-day.
Front row, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, how did everything go with the helmet communications, and just what do you think of that new process?
Yeah, it's different. It's different. You can see a lot more teams were huddling in week 1, which I thought would be the case. It was good, but there's still an element of the no huddle that everyone's using. So it's a kind of a hybrid, I think, of some people using it and some people still signaling and doing those things based on who you're playing. But I think it's a great thing for college football, and we're all adapting. I thought it went well in week 1.
Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, after the game, you mentioned metrics that you guys want to hit for the playoff. I don't know if you brought that up before. I don't know if you want to go into detail on what those are, but what are you looking at, and why is this year when you're kind of focusing on those type of things?
Well, when you look at what the CFP looks at in terms of your ranking now, I think every little bit is going to matter. So whether you're a top 4 team or 5, 6, 7, or 8, you want to do everything you can to put yourself in best position possible moving forward. So there's things that come into play there, and so there's going to be a lot more discussion, I think, around 1 through 12 than maybe there was 1 through 4 when there was only 4 teams that made it. Now when you're talking about 1 through 12, there's a lot more conversation, and I think certainly we control our own destiny in terms of every game that we play, and we're going to do that. But I just want to make sure that guys know that when they're going in towards the end of the game, like every rep matters. Why? Well, here's an example of why. And so that's the way we're going to approach every game.
Andy Backstrom, fourth row, Letterman row.
Yeah, Ryan, with having a chance to watch back the film, how are you feeling about the blocking? I know you're looking for more explosion in the run game long term. Where is that right now, and how much does perimeter blocking kind of factor into that equation?
Yeah, it definitely plays into it. There was good snaps. There was some plays that we got to the perimeter. We didn't quite make that guy miss a couple times, and there was some other times where there was one in particular into the boundary. We pulled around. We didn't quite identify the backer that we had. There was a handful of things there. So yeah, we're looking to be more explosive, and everybody's got to own it. Everyone's got to be a part of it. There were some good things as the game went on, but we've got to see more improvement in week 2.
Right behind him, Cameron T. Robinson, The Athletic.
Brian, you talked about trying to talking about explosive, being more explosive in the punt return game. Obviously, Brandon did a really good job with that on Saturday. There's times in the past where maybe he would punt return, maybe lets one of those go or fall fair catch that. Is that an idea of you guys being more aggressive, like trying to consciously be more aggressive in the punt return game?
Yeah, we worked hard in this offseason on special teams. I think I shared with you that each of the coaches now own it, and Rob Keys is overseeing it, and I'm a big part of it on a daily basis now. And one of the studies that we did was every time the ball hits the ground on a turf field, there's an average of like 10 yards a roll there. So we want to make sure that we're aggressive in fielding those punts. At the same time, we can't be foolish because some of those punts, you put yourself at risk of a fumble. So the first thing we got to do is get the ball back. That's number one. Second thing we're trying to do is field it. Again, especially on a turf field when that ball can really roll. You've seen some really poor punts just kind of take off on the turf. And so we tried to eliminate those. We think that those are, well, Brandon Ennis's example, a couple of those on Saturday. In particular, the one that he returned, it was rolling down probably inside the 10-yard line. He stopped it and then returned it back. That was probably 3 or 4 first downs on offense. It's a big deal. So we're trying to educate our guys. We're also going to be sound to make sure that we get the ball back and win the turnover battle.
Second row right, Bill Landis, Kings of the North, and the podcast.
Ryan, Will has, I think, half of the scramble yards now with you guys that he had last year at Kansas State because he had that one play where he got like 19 yards. Scrambling to kind of like extend plays, I don't know if he did that a ton at Kansas State. I know he had a lot of designed runs, but did he show you guys anything in this offseason, whether that's changing his body or just, I don't know, different mentality where he's going to do more to be a little bit more of a playmaker in those situations that plays do break down?
Well, he can because he's big in the pocket, but he also has speed that once he gets going, you can see that he can hurt you with his feet. And I think that's when you look back on what Justin Fields did a great job of was that he would extend plays on third down, and when you can steal a couple third downs in a game with scrambles, that makes a huge difference. It changes how the defense plays against you, and you can extend plays, which allows receivers to get open longer. So I think he's going to be in a little bit more of a drop back situation here than maybe previously. So he's going to have those opportunities, but he also has to make good decisions when he's doing that. The play at the end of the half really put the ball in jeopardy. That was a really poor decision, and so that's a part of it. You got to take care of the football, and having 2 hands in the pocket, making good decisions when it's time to throw it away. I thought he did a nice job in one of them in particular where he did throw it away. There was another one I think he kind of scrambled on a play like around the 25-yard line. He came back, ended up throwing it away. In that moment there, maybe try to scramble a little bit more. You can't come up with every scenario that can come up. He's got to go play football and get a feel for it. But for the first game out there, I think he looked like he had some confidence. He was moving around with a purpose and discernment in his decisions, so that was good. But we got to build on it now.
Tony Gerben, Buckeye Huddle.
Right now, how do you assess the tight ends, G, Will, Jelani, after taking a look at everything?
Yeah, I thought they, as a group, blocked well, and I think we had two champions there, and there's going to be more production coming out of the room moving forward, but they did a nice job, and so now we got to keep building on that as well. Couple really good effort clips, in particular Will Kazmarek on one play. Blocked his man about 7 yards downfield and pancaked him. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that type of intensity, that type of finish, and they're going to be very much involved in the pass game as well.
Continuing to just
Yeah, that was a big day for Jelani. He needs to just play and play through, some of his inexperience. There's going to be mistakes made. There was the penalty that we had where he wasn't on the ball, and there's a couple things we have to play through. But I think it was good for him to get that game under his belt. There's a lot of potential there, and the more he plays, the better off he's going to be.
Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Just to follow up, earlier this year when we were talking with you about Will Howard, and you mentioned this with Justin Fields back when he first got here. You almost told him he's not allowed to run. He has to stand in there, and he has to learn how to operate back there. And maybe Will showed up with that ability. For starters, when did you start to get comfortable with the Justin playmaking, trusting him more to do that, but also not make mistakes, and also applying that to Will Howard as an older guy, that he come in already with that trust because he is older and has been through it before?
Yeah, I think every quarterback is different. They, have their eyes are down the field, feeling the pocket. What kind of you try to figure out, how they are at that. I think Will, first off, he's tall, so he can see over the line. I think sometimes when you're 6'3" or south of that, it gets a little bit more difficult. But he also has poise in there, and you can just see that in practice. So, again, that's the art of playing quarterback. You don't always know exactly how it's going to shake out or when it's time to scramble. There's so many different variables. But he has played. He's got experience. So I think that all helps with his decision-making right now. And, we'll keep building on it and grow. And the more comfortable he is in the offense and what we do and how teams are going to play us here in this conference, I think the better he's going to be.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
In particular, with Tegra and Austin having two first-time guards there, how much do you think that affected the way that you guys were able to run the first half?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we expect to go out there and score every time we touch the ball and run the ball well. So, we're not in the excuse-making business. So, those guys got to go out and play really, really well. That's what we expect. And, we're at Ohio State, so let's go. But I'm predicting that this week they have a really good week of practice and they keep growing from it and they build from it and they have a point of reference moving forward.
Jeremy Birmingham, the podcast.
Ryan, untrained eye, it looked like Arvell Reese really kind of popped a lot when he was out there, and then there were other linebackers that are obviously, it's a whole group of guys playing for the first time, really. When you see Arvell go out there and look that natural and look like he belongs like that, what does it say about that position moving forward? How do you see the rotation moving forward when Cody gets back?
Well, the way that Arvell played, he deserves more reps, but I think it has to do with his preparation. And there was a moment last week where his preparation was just okay, and then there was a point in the week where he really dug in and did a really good job with his preparation. I think Jim and James would tell you the same thing, and I think that allowed him to play fast. So that's a big part of playing linebacker. There's just a lot that comes with it. I mean, I review their tips and their test every week, and there's a lot in that packet. So he had to prepare at a high level, and once you do that, then the game can slow down for you. And so if he continues to do that, you see the athletic ability. I mean, and the strain. That's what I like the most. I mean, some of those reps that he had. I mean, he's going as hard as he possibly can from point A to point B, and we can build on that. I mean, any coach in America would love to have somebody like that. So if he keeps going like that and keeps with his preparation, then he's going to keep building.
I mean, there was 5 guys who'd never played before, really, at linebacker. What was your biggest plus? What was the area that you had the biggest concern?
I liked. It seemed to me like they played hard. And I thought, Sonny moving positions here, a week within or a week and a half of playing in the season, he handled that very well. I thought his communication was good. He got everybody on the same page. And so that was good. I just think there needs to be overall consistency. It needs to be, each guy has their own thing they need to work on, and I know James is working on that.
Adam King, WBMS.
Coach, Chip up in the box, your first game really since you've been here that you weren't leading the play calling. How did that go down there for you?
Yeah, it was good. Again, Chip had his mindset on what he wanted to get done in this game, and it was a start. A long way to go, but no, overall the calls came in quickly, and I thought overall that part was good. We still want to be clean across the board. I think we can be cleaner across the board. A couple little penalties here and there that we got to clean up, but and again, still same thing, efficiency. I think we can get in and out of huddle faster. We can get just sharper in everything that we're doing, but just in terms of the operation of calling a game and all that, it was clean in week 1.
Did you find it gave you a little more freedom during the time the offense wasn't on the field?
Yeah, you get the iPad, and so it can, you can kind of see what's going on during the game and get a feel for exactly what you're seeing. That is new. You didn't really have that before. You're really relying on the guys up in the box to give you information. Your eyes can sometimes deceive you down in the field. Now you're able to confirm what you think you saw, make adjustments, and have the communication to the players in that moment. So that was good. But the same thing with special teams, just being more involved with it with Rob, making sure the right guys are in there, what the calls are, and then being there on defense to just encourage the guys and be around them. And I did enjoy that part of it.
Dave Holmes, WSYX.
We just saw Western Michigan give Wisconsin a bit of a scare. I'm guessing, Ryan, that the talent gap we know is there, but I'm guessing that Western's guys, just given national TV and stuff, have probably seen your players play dozens of times over the past few years. And I'm guessing until film, your guys have probably never watched a Western Michigan game. I'm just curious, in matches like this, do you see teams try to use that lack of familiarity against you? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure in the past there's been different things that teams have done, but ultimately, it comes down to, not your opponent, but you, whether you're, I've been there before on both sides of this, and You just got to come in and do what your guys know, and it comes back to your training in the end. So, I mean, we know that there's certain things that we need to work on and improve on across the board, and that's what we're going to focus on. They do have a good team. I thought they played well. I think it is good for us to see them play another Big Ten opponent, just to compare what we're seeing. So that was good, and I thought they played well in that game. They were strong, and they have a good team.
Dylan Davis, Delaware Gazette.
Did you get close at all to playing three quarterbacks on Saturday? Was there a third guy that maybe you considered putting in the game, or was that never?
It never really got to that. We wanted to try to get Devin in there and try to get him some drives, and you did see us throw the ball down the field. And again, we're trying to just run our offense and give him opportunities. So it wasn't like we just handed the ball off and got out of there. We tried to get the offense moving. The goal was to score a touchdown. We made sure everybody in the huddle understood that. We didn't do it, so that was a little disappointing. But that's for everybody in that huddle, not just the quarterback. And if we have an opportunity to play three, we will. But we didn't. I felt like there was a point there where we did pull away there in the second half, and we were able to put Devin in the game. And there may be some games here we get Devin and thrown in a little bit earlier in the game. That wasn't the situation on Saturday.
Who would that guy be? Do you feel strongly about who that third guy would be? Right
Yeah, all those guys are working right now. So, we need all those guys to compete, and we're going to roll them and just try to keep evaluating on a weekly basis.
Dan Hope, Lebanon Warriors.
Ryan, when you talk about being nowhere where we need to be, what are the biggest points of emphasis this week, areas that you feel like the team needs to improve this week?
It's just so many things across the board. It's not just one area. You can watch, all four phases of special teams: kickoff, return, punt, return, and just identify things. Like for instance, on that play of a punt return, those plays go like 12 to 14 seconds. They're long plays. And I thought our guys busted their tail for like the first 8 to 10. And then for the last 4, like, how do you replicate that in practice? It's not as easy as you think. So like that's just one example. There are many other examples in special teams. On offense and defense, each guy has their things that they need to improve on. You go through the list of things. We go through that with the team. We watch the film on Sunday, and then we go. I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but just little things all across the board that we need to improve. And when you have a bunch of those things, it adds up. And, we know where we need to be. And I think, the foundation hasn't been built yet. We talked about, the preseason and how that foundation was being laid. Well, we're still building that up and trying to figure out, how the preseason translated to game one. Again, there's some assumptions that were made, like, hey, this guy's ready, this guy isn't, or, maybe this guy's a little bit better than we thought he was, or this technique is not near where it needs to be, or, maybe there's somebody in there who you thought they were in better shape than they were, and after about, 20, 25 plays, their game started to fatigue, or maybe there's some guys in there who, the stage was a little bit too big for them early on. They had to settle down. I mean, these are all the things, and without getting into the details of all the things that we talk about as a team, like those are the areas that we all have, and each player has their own things that they need to improve on, and then offense and defense are focusing on, things as a group.
Austin Lawrence, podcast.
Ryan, what did you think of Austin Cerveld specifically, and is there a possibility that even when Donovan comes back that he could be still in the mix on the interior?
Yeah, I think so. He looked like a first-time starter in there who has real potential, has power, has strength, and I think once he got his feet underneath him and started playing a little bit and flushed through everything, then he played decent. He didn't grade out a champion, but he wasn't that far off, so that was good. And so now, as we take the next step, you'll see him play this weekend, and how much will be dependent on how healthy Donnie is going into the game. But like you said, even if Donnie is healthy, you'd like to see him get in there and get some reps, because that was one of the positive things coming out, was that some of these guys got more reps than maybe they wouldn't have, or maybe they would have if we were a little bit more healthy or didn't have that virus go through. So that was good, but he needs to keep playing, and he is playing at starter level. But the expectation is that we do grade out a champion. He was a little short in this one, but for the first start, there was some encouraging things.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
And now that when you talked about Chip taking some of the play calling off your play, you mentioned sort of it helping Sunday through Friday of a week and being more involved in other areas. What is your schedule? What was it like last week? Just in sort of the lead up to games, are you in different meetings? Just sort of what's that all like?
Yeah, still very much involved with the offensive meetings and there, you know, very much involved with all the special teams meetings with the staff, with the players. You know, I meet with the defense on Sundays, and obviously we have staff meetings every day. But then there's also just a little bit of time, especially before practice, where, you know, I get to kind of get my thoughts together, you know, and I'm in my office and, you know, I can watch, you know, the opponent in all three phases and get my thoughts together on how I want to message the team, maybe call a player in, have some one-on-one conversation there, walk in a locker room, you know, get down the hallway and make sure that, you know, everybody's aligned across the building, you know, those type of things that, you know, when you're in there kind of on a day-to-day basis grinding on the film, sometimes I can get away from you.
On game days, how involved are you when stuff's over the headset? Just how often are you chiming in involved? Is any sort of breakdown of how that all goes?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe it is, you know, you could probably just imagine, you know, Jim's calling it and Chip's calling it, and, you know, I'm kind of there having a conversation, you know, not getting in the way of, you know, what's being called, but just making sure they understand the situation, down and distance, time, you know, things that we're seeing down in the field. You know, maybe if someone's got big eyes, or maybe someone, you know, is you know, looks good, like we're rocking off the ball, or, you know, we got to get these guys going. Maybe they're, you know, there's a little lull, or whatever those things are. You're just trying to communicate that to both sides, and then understand situations. You know, what's coming in a third down, making sure that you know, everybody's involved in the sidelines. You know, those type of things. Just, you know, game management.
It was a weighty decision to give it up. Do you feel good about it weekend? I know it's early.
It's still early, yeah, I would say, but I think what it's allowed me to do, like we've talked about before, is just, you know, be more present with everybody, and so far it's been great to do, but still having, you know, say in what goes on, you know, in all three phases, and you know, every day.
Stefan Kreisnick, Cleveland.com.
Talk about the way Will has kind of grown this offseason from the spring to the fall of his understanding of the offense. You know, from watching that first game, it seems like he got more comfortable as the game went on as well. How do you feel kind of the communication, kind of the understanding between him and Chip has developed of, you know, Will kind of knowing what Chip is trying to accomplish, you know, before the play call's even made?
Yeah, I think it's good when you're, you know, near Will and the quarterbacks, and you can hear the voice in the helmet. You know, you realize that's a different thing. I mean, to have a voice in your head while you're, you know, on the field is something to get used to. And so we worked hard on it in practice to get used to that. And you know, that is a good sign when you know, a play is called and you already know exactly what it is. The good news now is, you know, he can tell him why he called it. You know, you can give him little bits of information here and there. You can make sure that he understands the situation. He understands, you know, the down and distance, or maybe give a tip to one of the guys in the huddle. So it's something new, but so far it's been good, and, you know, it seems like they're you know, gelling well.
Dylan Benwick, Columbus Dispatch.
Can you name one thing that was a pleasant surprise from Saturday, and maybe one thing that you didn't think would be an issue that proved to be an issue as concerning?
I mean, I think the punt return was better. You could see that. I would say that was good, and I was disappointed with the first kickoff return. I thought we had an opportunity to pop that, and you know, we did not execute that well enough, and so ultimately that's on the coaches. So, you know, that was disappointing for sure. You know, we'd like to have got out to a faster start. You know, obviously, but was pleased how we came out in the second half, and really, you know, I think the second half was 35-3. I mean, that's what we're looking for.
I'm curious about the iPad thing. How much of a difference does that really make, having that access?
Yeah, it's significant, you know, because everyone gets to really get real information and see it for exactly how it happened, and that doesn't happen up until, you know, we're able to have access to these. So it really does help, and it really helps with the players, making sure that they see it and they're getting communicated on what they're dealing with.
Take us home, Tim May, Letterman Row.
It's pretty funny. The thing that stood out, I was a come from behind win, by the way, on Saturday. And what kind of stood out to me just watching is how businesslike kind of things went with you guys on the sideline. Maybe it wasn't, but like you said, in your role now as like a real head coach, I mean, being able to roam and look in people's eyes and stuff, what did you see about this team that you really liked, during that, as y'all were getting your act together aspect of things?
No, I think the first thing is that we have to understand that, like, this is a long road to where we're going. And, it's easy to sometimes hear the noise of down the road or what's coming. And what you have to do is you just have to focus on right now. You have to be in the present. And you'll hear almost every coach in America say the same thing, but it's true. And that's why they say it. And, we're not just going to go in there and win the game in the first quarter. It doesn't work that way. We have to stay focused on each play, each drive, each game. Stay focused on the now. Ignore everything else. The good praise, the criticism, any of those things are out of the way. And that's everybody involved. And when we come into the stadium, like, we have to have a mindset that, like, we get to play this game. Like, this is fun. Like, this is a chance to play. Fun is winning. Fun is executing. Fun is scoring touchdowns. Fun is getting stops. Like, that's what it's all about. And that's why we're playing this game. And so, in that, you feed off the crowd, and, all of a sudden, I think sometimes, it's easy early in the season to, be looking down the road at what's going on, and then all of a sudden, you can find yourself in a little bit of a lull. That's not going to happen. It didn't happen. We responded well, and we played really well in the second half. So we're looking to get a fast start on Saturday and, get out there with great energy and be in the moment and just, maximize every single play the best you can. And so we've got to make sure that that's important. And so, we'll keep reiterating that this week.
2022, you had a veteran quarterback who had played the previous year, CJ. I don't want to go through the litany of veteran quarterbacks. But as you're watching the game from your vantage point Saturday, are you looking at it on the field like, Will had some plays he'd like to have back, but did you still see a guy who had played before? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
From a command standpoint.
Yeah, he's played. You can tell he's got his demeanor that he's played before. He just hasn't played in this offense before, so there's things about the offense that he's still picking up. So it's a little bit of both. But the command, being in the stadium, not having big eyes and things like that. I thought the timing on the two touchdown throws in particular to Jeremiah were excellent. I thought the timing throw to Carnell was really well done. And the only way that you throw in things on time like that is if you've done the preparation and you've mentally played that play in your head over and over again. That's a sign of a good quarterback. There's other things that came up that, is somebody that just hasn't played in the offense a bunch. So we got to get him these reps. And but in terms of the command and the way he handled himself, he looked experienced out there, and even the scrambles were big, and we got to continue to take care of the ball, and that's the most important thing here. Yeah, you got it. Thanks.